Good evening, it's 11 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition. Coming up.
It is an absolute disgrace. It tells you everything you need to know about this Labour government. I think this man's citizenship should be revoked, and he should be made to live in Egypt or, frankly, anywhere else in the world other than the UK.
Well, there's been a furious backlash after the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, hailed an Egyptian activist's arrival in the UK. And splashing on the front page of the Telegraph to prove it, Starmer welcomes extremists to Britain. We said it here first on GBNews, didn't we? Plus,
she is spineless, shameless and completely aimless.
to be fair, I think that was Kemi's finest moment. That was her response to the budget. And she's ripped into Rachel Reeves again, saying she's only still Chancellor to protect the Prime Minister. What do you think? Also,
if you're under 16, you're no longer allowed to have a social media account.
well, kids in Australia can't use Twitter or Facebook anymore, and a poll has found that most Brits think this government should bring in a similar ban. And
this is an issue of pressing national security concern. It's a question of national honour. It's time for Number 10 to step up to this and actually address it directly.
well, that's what SAS veteran Bob Parr told GB News last month about the controversial Troubles Bill. And now another ex-SAS officer has told the Sunday People that it could endanger the United Kingdom. And with me to talk about all these brilliant, massive stories tonight, Peter Bleksley, former Scotland Yard detective, Lara Brown, commissioning editor at The Spectator, and Nigel Nelson, GB News' senior political commentator. And take a look at this.
Every time you buy a coffee, you are funding a bullet. That is killing a Palestinian kid. If you are a Muslim buying Starbucks, shame on you, and Allah is coming for you.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Let's go back to the biggest story of the evening, the front page of the Telegraph. Starmer welcomes extremists to Britain. On the front page on the Mail on Sunday, the Prince William is facing a backlash, an angry backlash over his security zone around his new home. The Sunday Express is saying Kemi Badenoch says Rachel Reeves is only in her job to protect Sir Keir Starmer. The Sunday Mirror, Brits want to ban social media for kids. The Sun on Sunday, Torville and Dean made dame and knight. The Observer, Zelensky and Trump meet in Florida in hopes for peace. Sunday People, the SAS fears for UK security. The Sunday Times, PM, well, this is a big story as well. We will dig into this. Prime Minister new aide campaigned for paedophile but made him peer. On this story, Number 10 spokeswoman has said questions regarding Matthew Doyle's past acquaintance with Sean Morton were thoroughly investigated, including through several interviews with Matthew Doyle prior to his appointment. All right, well, look, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Peter Bleksley, former Scotland Yard detective, Lara Brown, commissioning editor at The Spectator, and Nigel Nelson, GB News' senior political commentator. Should we get cracking a little bit more on this Telegraph story? Because and I'll read some of your views out at home, by the way, in just a moment or so. So get them into me, gbnews.com/yoursay. But this has blown up. I think we've even got Elon Musk tweeting about it now over in America. This is an international story now. Prime Minister hails arrival of Egyptian prisoner who called for police and Zionists to be killed. His tweets, and if you're just tuning in now, go and watch my interview earlier on with Robert Jenrick, so you can have a look at some of those tweets. My top of my hour at 10 o'clock here. But Peter, I'll start with you. Going back to this issue of people coming to this country, we don't know who they are a lot of the time. Now, this man, however, we did know who he was because the government issued him a passport in 2021 whilst he was still a prisoner. At the time, James Cleverly, who was then Foreign Secretary, I believe, said he was working tirelessly to bring this man to Britain. I don't believe he'd ever even stepped foot in the UK before this moment in time. He got his passport off the back of his mother being here. it's a very difficult situation when it takes someone like me 2 seconds to go onto Twitter and type this bloke's name in and, oh, what's that? 2010, 2009, these tweets are absolutely disgusting. Why would we give someone like that a passport to Britain?
Because daft politicians make stupid decisions. And I'm going to bring it right up to speed now, because, of course, it's Starmer under the spotlight now, because of his gushing welcome to this man as he arrives in the country. 23rd of December, just a few days ago, it's the World Darts Championship at the Alexandra Palace, right? An annual sporting event that I love. Not what you would think, right, the audience at the darts, to be a political hotbed. OK? There they were, thousands of them, 23rd of December, chanting that Keir Starmer is a masturbator, right? They were using a lot less complimentary language than that, right? Another word.
Thank you for keeping it kosher for Tigo.
They're using another word, OK? That is the audience at a dance tournament. It's over. It's over, whatever way you want to look at it, and however long and however undignified the dragging out of his appalling premiership is going to be, Starmer is done.
Well, when the Prime Minister goes, the rest of them go too. And the Telegraph here, Nigel, have attacked Starmer, saying Starmer welcomes extremists to Britain. But it wasn't just Keir Starmer tweeting, it was David Lammy, Yvette Cooper. And I've pointed out, because I'm fair. I like to think I'm fair where I possibly can be. We're all humans, we have biases, but I'm fair. Alicia Kearns advocated for the man to come to Britain. James Cleverly, Tory Foreign Secretary, would have overseen a lot of the work that got into this, would have assigned the diplomats, etc. This is a cross-party problem. Robert Jenrick made an interesting point. He said that politicians probably didn't know he said these things.
Well, maybe they didn't.
But the point is, why didn't they know?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question.
But why do you think they didn't know?
Well, I don't know they didn't know.
Let's assume they didn't know. Let's give them the
benefit of the doubt. Okay, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They didn't know. Okay,
which is more than I normally give them, to be fair. But yeah.
Yep. We start with the basis they didn't know. Robert Jenrick was being hypocritical on the basis that it was his government that granted this man citizenship. So that was a mistake from his point of view. The reason he came here is because we believed that he deserved to. We've been campaigning for years to try and get him out of jail. He was a political prisoner in Egypt. So having done that, it would seem silly to bring him all the way over here and now send him straight back to Egypt. I mean, that whole thing is pointless if we do
If you apply for a job now, in all likelihood, somebody in that process will go back over your social media.
Yeah.
I mean, and this country doesn't do that for somebody who wants to become a citizen of this country.
Well, this is the thing, Lara, because we do it, and we have done it at similar points in time and before 2000. I can list off a reel of people we've not let into this country, people we've banned too extreme to be here. 2009, we banned Geert Wilders, who was an elected Dutch MP. In 2018, the Tories banned 3 anti-Islam activists from coming into the country. So this does happen. This due diligence does happen, but it hasn't happened in this case. And this case is far more complex because we've given the man a citizenship and a passport.
The real tragedy of this case is that 15 years ago, there was a rush to defend free speech champions in the Arab Spring. And we've let this man off these horrendous tweets, or we've ignored them, because we wanted to force free speech or encourage free speech on various countries about the Arab Spring, including Egypt. And in the intervening decade and a half, we have lost free speech in this country. And you could now tweet something far more bland than this in Britain, and you would find yourself in prison for a very long time, often, on remand before your trial. I think that's the real tragedy at play. We've seen some right-wing activists who are elected in other countries banned from Britain, and we are bringing this man over. It's two-tier.
Well, would it be... Lara raises a very good point. Would it be embarrassing for our government, let's say, for America to have, campaigned to have Lucy Connolly free, given her a dual citizenship and brought her over there? It's a similar sort of story, really, isn't it? Someone locked up for free speech crimes, is what we're going to call them. Free speech crimes. On one side, the British government will go out of their way to give you a passport, to bring you to our country, to reunite you with your family, to pick you up, to fly you out, to spend hundreds of thousands of pounds, I would have thought, on diplomatic missions. And on the other hand, if you're a British citizen, you're locked up for saying something that's probably, I think, was reprehensible, by the way, what Lucy Connolly said. But I don't think it's nearly as bad as some of the things he said.
No, but we are talking about something that came in before these laws were in place. So
well, the Malicious Communications Act and other laws have been in place for a very long time.
Yeah, but I don't think that even then he would have been arrested. Well, he obviously wasn't, was he?
But he wasn't here in Britain when he said it.
Okay.
He was in Egypt.
In which case he didn't break the law in Britain, did he? So
no, that's correct, he didn't.
On that basis, then, we park all that stuff to one side. Yes, it is appalling, it's disgusting.
So if someone commits a murder and that murder isn't legal, it is legal in, let's say, Malaysia, right? And then we go to them, oh, but you've made some free speech stuff, we'll bring you over here. That's the problem. It's not applying the same values and the same morality.
Yeah, but he's not a murderer.
No, I'm giving you a hypothetical situation, right? So right, it might he didn't commit the crime here. He did commit the crime in Egypt. They locked him up, and then one of the crimes they locked him up allegedly for was misuse of social media, similar to what we would do here for somebody. But that we can't separate what he's done in his past to what he's done today. He's still made that error. He's still done something that would be illegal in this country, and now we're still welcoming in, is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, OK. But we're talking here, you mentioned other people we've actually banned. We ban people because they're not conducive to the public good. That's the expression that the government uses. In this case, this man's been decided that he is conducive to the public good.
Which is an error. It's clearly an error.
Now we're in a matter...
It's a ridiculous error.
Then we're in a matter of opinion on that one. He was someone...
Wishing death upon Jews, wishing all police officers to be killed.
I'm not defending any of that. What I'm saying is that we're talking about something that happened a long time ago, and what has happened since is he's been campaigning for freedom and independent judiciary in Egypt, for instance.
But this is the
point.
Yeah, well, why doesn't he stay in Egypt and continue to campaign for it?
Because he's in jail.
Yeah. Well, they've let him out. Why don't he stay there then?
Well, because having been freed from jail, he wanted to get out of the country as soon as possible.
Oh, yes.
Be arrested.
And where did he want to come? Soft touch Britain.
Because he's British.
Soft touch Britain.
The question that
with Starmer welcoming him, delighted.
And this is the thing: we hand out British citizenships like they're going out of fashion in this.
He's about as British as I am Egyptian.
Yeah, well, that would be true.
If you held an Egyptian passport, you have equivalence with him. But this guy is a British citizen and has been since 2021.
Right, Lara.
Of course, it's an opinion, but I really would like to see the case to say he's conducive to the public good. My question is, he's saying that his comments are out of context. I'm not sure how you can call for the murder of Jews in an out-of-context way, but I've not seen an apology. And therefore, as far as I'm concerned, he still holds these views.
Can I don't know how this is... Maybe it's because it's been a long day for me today and I'm still getting over the Christmas fuzz. Can we bring up James Cleverly's tweet, please, in just a second, because I want to point this out. This is a very important point. In James Cleverly's tweet, who was the Foreign Secretary, I believe, someone please correct me if I'm wrong about that, I think he was, in 2022, in November when he put this tweet out, he actually tagged this account in that tweet, right? So it would be at ALAA, I think is the handle. That means if James Cleverly was able to tag this tweet, let's have a look, we're going to bring it up now for you, here it is, there we go, yes. Last night I spoke to the sisters of at Allah, right, which is his name. And if you click on that link, that takes you to his account. So therefore, it would have taken a civil servant no more than 20 seconds or someone in the Conservative Party to go through that bloke's Twitter account, right? Something doesn't add up. It stinks to high heaven. It stinks. It really does. And this is the problem, isn't it? Whether the due diligence has been... Maybe James Cleverly had someone running his account. I don't know. When you're a minister, lots of things happen. People do things for you. Foreign Secretary, of course, at the time. This is becoming an ever-growing scandal, isn't it? That our politicians don't even know what's going on under their own noses, and I think it's a damning indictment of the state we are in Britain.
Well, at the moment, we don't know what was under his nose at the time.
Well, he had the Twitter account under his nose.
Yes, I know he did, but those tweets were deleted.
No, they weren't deleted. Those tweets were publicly available. He's only deleted them today.
Well, that I didn't know.
Yeah. There you go. They go back to 2009, so he wouldn't have been able to scroll back. He would have had to scroll back or put some keywords in there to have found some of these tweets, which took us 20 seconds to do, less than that, to put the word Zionist in there, to put the word, violence.
And they're all recorded, though. I mean, they're preserved for all time, those tweets.
But if you're the Foreign Secretary and you're going to tag somebody in a tweet, you better hope they haven't said something against your country, like calling them dogs and monkeys.
I refer you to my previous comments this evening about stupid politicians.
I think
epitomised.
It is epitomised, and I was asking Robert Jenrick earlier on if he condemns the remarks made by James Cleverly, at the time Foreign Secretary. He made a similar point to didn't know, obviously, what he'd said, and I'm sure that's true. I do believe that these politicians haven't looked at it, but again, it says something about where we are, doesn't it, as a country? We are not doing due diligence. The Home Office is completely incapable of delivering good advice to our ministers, and no wonder why. We've got a migration crisis, a visa crisis, and all these things, Lara. We're going to need to rip up the state from the ground up to clear this rot.
The answer to the Arab Spring was never to start handing out citizenships. That achieved nothing. America took a similar stance to us on this person, except they didn't try and bring them over because they knew it was a complex issue and they didn't have all the answers. We should learn from this. We should do proper background checks on people in the future, and we should stop trying to intervene in very, very complex, multi-sided foreign conflicts.
Yeah,
or stop starting conflicts in Muslim countries like we've done in our lifetimes.
Yeah,
Stupidly.
I have never agreed with us intervening in those countries. That one of the things I have endorsed is what President Trump has done, which is take a targeted precision attack on a terrorist group and left it there. He hasn't put boots on the ground. He hasn't gone and wiped out the government. Those governments, for anyone, I studied this stuff, right, and I love international history. I'm absolutely fascinated by it, and I studied this stuff, and it was clear to me, even back when I was a 20-year-old lad over 15 years ago, that this stuff, us going to countries, removing these dictators who were holding back these Islamists at the time, was going to end in disaster for us. And again, really bad governments at the time decided this was a good idea. Listen, a government spokesperson has said this. Mr. El Fattah is a British citizen. Well, he wasn't very long ago, but there we go. It has been a long-standing priority under successive governments to work for his release from detention and to see him reunited with his family in the UK. And, of course, we've approached Alaa Abdel Fattah, El Fattah, for his family, for comments, but we haven't heard back just yet. OK, coming up, the Sunday Express. Kemi Badenoch says Rachel Reeves is only in her job to protect Sir Keir Starmer. I don't know whether this is like the most obvious headline of all eternity. But anyway, we'll talk about it. I'll put it to the front page of the Express's former editor next. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Well, pub bosses say they face financial ruin after Rachel Reeves' stealth tax raid in the budget as pint prices are ramped up, opening hours are cut and staff are laid off in desperate attempts to keep running.
So this morning we're asking, would you pay more for your pint to save local pubs?
Well, joining us now is pub owner Mark Bridgen and Communications Officer for the IEA, Reem Ibrahim. Really good to see you both this morning. Mark, let's start with you. We've spoken to you a lot about your lovely pub. Would you want people to pay more for a pint in order to save your business?
Well, it's looking like the only option. Yeah, with the increased taxes on every level and now the stress around rates increase and valuation agency, I don't know anyone that is making any money, so it feels like the only thing to do is to raise your prices. The irony is that actually at the moment many of us are actually putting down our prices to try and get people through the doors. You know, in a desperate bid to stay alive, we're having to, try and offer even more value.
Do you think the government is just tone deaf to the plight of our landlords of pubs and restaurants across the country?
They absolutely are. I mean, over 21,000 pubs have closed since the 1980s. That's half of that in the last 2 decades alone. So I really do think that the government have taxed, regulated, restricted pubs to the oblivion. But this is where I disagree with Mark. I don't think it's up to businesses themselves to say, you know what, we're going to remove our profit margins even further. We know that the hikes in national insurance contributions and increase in the minimum wage have a huge impact on small businesses.
GBNews, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Yeah.
All right.
Hello, welcome back, everybody, to Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition. Joining me now is David Wooding, former editor at the Sunday Express. David, thank you for joining me this evening. I'm sure we want to talk about very, very quickly this big story tonight, David. The front page of the Sunday Telegraph. Starmer welcomes extremists to Britain. David, what do you think about this story?
Well, I've been listening to your debate earlier this evening. Fascinating stuff. Nigel Nelson, who's an experienced guy, is absolutely right when he explains why this man has been allowed in. And you and Peter are quite right to be frustrated about it. And what this actually betrays is the reason why people like Donald Trump and Nigel Farage are doing so well. The public don't want to hear people like Nigel, or politicians for that matter, saying, look, it's all within the law. This guy's a British citizen. We're backing his human rights and all this sort of explanation, which is all within the law and all absolutely bang on and correct. They just say, we don't get this. Why is this happening? They want everything ripped up and starting again. And that's why these insurgent parties like Reform UK are doing so well. People are sick to the back teeth of the system. And again, it highlights the human rights. This man is being given British citizenship because he's a human rights campaigner in another country. But he's coming here and his human rights are trumping the rights of people here to be protected from hate mongers and violent thugs. I'm not saying he's a violent thug, but he has certainly preached for that sort of stuff. So I think this exposes the whole argument about why Britain's politics is in a state of fragmentation at the moment.
Yeah, I certainly agree, David. And, you know, you're right. Nigel is right. That's as to the reasons why he's here. And I can't argue with that. We all know why he's here, and we know how he's got here. The difficulty is, as, you know, citizens, we look around and go, how on earth, one, did you know about the tweets? If you knew, then you're complicit, I think, in letting a hateful person into this country, and you've got double standards because you've blocked other people in this country for saying far less things. You also lock people up for tweets that are not even as bad as this and worse. And so that to me screams a system that is broken or a system that is corrupt. And British people want that out of their country, especially when they're paying record taxes for it too, David. But look, shall we move on? I don't think either of us are going to solve it tonight, but I think the Prime Minister's going to have to have someone's going to have a word with him tomorrow. Let's go to the front page of the Sunday Express, shall we? Your old paper. Reeves is only in her job to protect the Prime Minister. I might say that this is probably the most obvious headline I've ever read, but perhaps maybe to many people it's not. What do you think?
No, I may have said this on your programme a couple of times over the past months. I mean, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are joined at the hip. They came together on a dream ticket of a Chancellor and a Prime Minister working together to fix the economy. If she goes, then it puts Keir Starmer in the firing line. She is, in fact, a lightning rod for Keir Starmer at the moment. Now, the time will come, and it may come after the May elections, when he has no choice because the pressure is on him so much that he has to sacrifice her. We saw Liz Truss do that to Kwasi Kwarteng when the going got tough for her. And, of course, they came to get her afterwards. But he's in that similar situation at the moment. And I think she is better in place for him now as somebody to blame for everything that's going wrong. But yes, the time will come when he has to throw her to the wolves, and then he's fending for himself.
Yeah, I do wonder whether... I think you're tied at the hip, aren't you, as Chancellor and Prime Minister? Anyway, one of you goes, the other one's going pretty quickly, as you said, David. I think it's sort of like a leaky bucket, really, isn't it? So what's the point? Just let it keep on leaking at this point. Can't fix it anyway. You got another story for us, David? What's your other story?
Well, there's one about universal credit, which is in the Sun tomorrow. Apparently, there's... an extra migrant claiming universal credit every 43 seconds. In fact, the number of migrants on universal credit has doubled in the past 2 years. An extra 2,000 a day are claiming that benefit now. And that's gone up to 734,000. So that's nearly 750,000 migrants are now claiming universal credit on top of other benefits. So that's another fact which will, crank up the rhetoric on dealing with Britain's open borders, for sure.
David, I just think that... I'm exhausted, mate. When this government first got into office, I thought it was going to be a really boring government. I thought we were going to be in for a really difficult time in the news. But the headlines just write themselves, don't they? This is the crazy thing. I bet the press are having an absolute field day at the moment. We're only on, the 27th of December. This should be silly season, but these are big stories. And talking of big stories, I want to ask you about the Sunday Times, if you don't mind, David.
Yeah, sure.
Their lead story is quite a hard-hitting story here. They're saying the Prime Minister knew an aide campaigned for a paedophile, but they made him appear. What do we make of this?
Well, this is Matthew Doyle. He actually worked in Number 10 during the Blair years, but he was headhunted to be head of communications. He's one of 4 people who have held that post in the barely 18 months since Keir Starmer became Prime Minister. He's left now, but he backed a candidate called Sean Morton for a council seat, despite being aware that he'd been charged with possessing illegal images of children. And now, Number 10 knew about this, but approved him despite what they knew. And in fact, now Matt Doyle himself, the head of comms as he was, has been given a seat in the Lords. So again, questions will be asked about judgment, and it's clear that everybody knew everything in this case, but it was deemed not a problem.
Yeah, the government claim that they've investigated him prior to the appointment, and we'll obviously get the government's line on that one there. But all these stories are just not good looks. And it goes back to this for me, David. It goes back to this. When this government, before they got into office, and when they first got into office, they told us time and time again that they're going to be these moral bastions, these bastions of purity. They're going to clean up government, they're going to make government for the working people, and it just seems like it's rolled on from the last government, which was very sleaze-driven, especially the Boris government, the Johnson government, and it's just rolled into that, and it just seems to never end. It never ends, does it? Is it just nature of government, David? Are we always in for sleaze and scandal?
Yeah, and the other thing, of course, is people don't feel that the government is delivering what it said it would. The manifesto pledges have been torn up or reversed, or things have been passed which we never were told about. I mean, we were told that the triple lock for pensions would be safe with the government. Well, it is, but they didn't tell us that they were going to tear up the winter fuel allowance and put more pensioners into paying income tax. So, there's all these things which have been brought about by this government which nobody knew about, and the things that they were promised are not happening.
Isn't that the case, David? David Wooding, friend of the show, Fleet Street legend, thank you so much for joining me this weekend. I really appreciate it. Let's bring it back to my panel here in the studio, shall we? Should we talk about this front page of the Sunday Express here, Peter? Reeves only in her job to protect the PM. That's Tory leader Kemi Babe not launching a brutal attack on Labour.
I think much of what you said is right. How chancellors and PMs are so often joined at the hip. Blair and Brown, most famously, for a very long time. of course, until Blair stepped aside to give Brown a very unsuccessful stint as PM. Yeah, I'm sure they are linked, and I think if she's probably there because if she tumbled, then Starmer might follow pretty soon afterwards.
Certainly agree. Lara, do you think this is kind of like the most obvious statement of the year? Well, I mean, it could be. It is the end of 2025, so she could have made it 2026.
I'm not sure if this is news, no. I mean, Rachel Reeves is brilliant for Keir Starmer because she is the only person in Cabinet people hate more than him. And once she goes, he's gone too.
Yeah, it's not going to... I just don't feel like it can be much longer, really, Nigel, for the two of them.
We shall see. I think May is the key at the moment, so I would imagine Rachel Reeves will certainly be in place until May.
Does that depend on how many elections they can cancel, by the way?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they could still lose a few. I mean, Blair and Brown, again, they were joined at the hip too, as Peter's just pointed out. But they disliked each other hugely. By the end, they were barely speaking. But the idea of actually sacking one of them was, or Blair sacking Brown, was not really a goer in the same way Starmer won't sack Reeves.
Go on, Laura.
I want to briefly defend Rachel. I never thought I'd be doing. But it's very easy to attack her because she's out of her depth and quite incompetent. But we have to remember, she's not allowed to raise taxes because of the manifesto, and her own party won't cut spending. So she's got these horrible budgets where she's trying to find little things around the edges, and the party's problems extend far, far beyond Reeves.
They certainly do. But this is their own making. This is their manifesto. This is the place they put themselves. I mean, look, you're better off at some point just being... What people are crying out for is authenticity, is realness, for their politicians to act like human beings and treat them like human beings, treat them like adults and just say, listen, we messed up here. We didn't know things would be as bad as it. We're going to have to go back on our manifesto promises. You can judge us for that, but I'd rather a politician be honest with me, even if I don't like them, and deliver what they say they're going to do, than lie and try to deceive and manipulate me, because then I feel like I've been sold a very, very bad deal. But listen, what do you think? gbnews.com/you will say. And also coming up, do you think football fans should be reported for bad language in the stands? Most Brits also say they want to ban social media for kids. That's next.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're off to the Eastern Med or Italy over the next few days for a New Year break, it'll be often sunny and dry, but much more unsettled towards the Western Med, particularly across Iberia, with some areas of low pressure bringing in some heavy rain, some strong gusty winds as well, and some mountain snow. Heavy snow on Saturday and into Sunday across the Pyrenees and Andorra. The showers clearing away from Sicily, leaving most of Italy and Greece fine and sunny, but there will be some heavy snow across parts of northern Turkey, otherwise a fine outlook elsewhere.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see a mixed bag of weather across the UK over the next few days. Some sunshine, but equally thicker bits of cloud giving some patchy rain and some frost and fog in places during the overnight period as well. High pressure centred towards the northwest of the UK at the moment. Fairly tightly packed isobars indicating quite brisk winds, and those winds are coming in from a chilly east to northerly direction. Certainly a lot of cloud coming in on that easterly flow during the overnight period as well. Some cloud breaks out towards the west of Wales, across the far southwest of England, but the best of the overnight breaks are likely across parts of Scotland. Here turning quite frosty, the blue colours there indicating a widespread frost. Some fog patches in places as well, but with the cloud down towards the south and across eastern spots, and with that breeze too, mostly frost-free here. So as we go into Sunday then, we get off to quite a bright start across Scotland once the fog and frost lifts, but that fog could take time to clear in places. Certainly a very cold start, to say temperatures below freezing in places here. More in the way of cloud across Northern Ireland, some bright spells. And across England and Wales, it's a fairly cloudy start to Sunday as well. The best of the early brightness across West Wales and the far southwest of England. But elsewhere with the cloud around and a bit of a breeze too, it's mostly frost-free across England and Wales. Going through the rest of the day on Sunday, once that fog and frost clears from Scotland, plenty of sunshine here. Some brightness out across other western spots at times, but generally speaking, it will be quite a cloudy day, especially across England and Wales. Mostly dry, and later in the day we'll start to see some clear weather moving in across the far southeast as well. Temperatures close to where they should be for the time of year at around 6 to 8 Celsius. Still quite breezy in the south, taking the edge off of those values, and a bit cooler, especially if any fog does linger across parts of Scotland. Monday gets off to a clearer start, so we'll see more in the way of frost around, some fog patches in places. That should all gradually lift to leave some sunshine in places, but notice a band of cloud with patchy rain, a bit of hill sleet there moving south across parts of Scotland. And that takes us into a fairly settled start to the next week. Some sunshine at times, but equally quite chilly still, with some night frost and fog in places.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 PM only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Another story in the papers today. The papers are pretty good, actually, aren't they, for the 27th of December? Maybe it's because the government's busy as usual. The government is launching a gap year scheme to give school and college leavers a taste of the Army, Navy or RAF without a long-term commitment to it. The course is aimed at under-25s and is part of efforts to solve long-term recruitment and retention problems. Applications to be part of the first 150 recruits open in the spring before expanding to more than 1,000 per year. The placements of up to 2 years will be paid. All right, let's talk about this, shall we? Laura, what did you make of this story? I actually think this is a really good idea. I think I'd actually have all youngsters under between the ages of 16 and 18 do public service. That's what I would have them do. Have them trained in the military like many other countries do, to give a sense of authority back and a sense of care and pride for your country.
So I've never believed in compulsory national service, but I think this is a brilliant scheme. This is really good. We've got people at that age group struggling to decide whether to go to university, often do a degree that won't have very big dividends, won't have good returns, struggling to get a job in a very tight job market. And we're offering them a way of trialling what can be a really brilliant career without the scary requirements of signing up or being sent to a front line. They'll get useful training that you could use anywhere. People on the naval scheme will be learning things like plumbing or engineering, which would be applicable in multiple professions, and this is a great way of giving back to your country. Great scheme. I hope it's expanded. I hope it takes off.
Nigel?
Yeah, I'm with Laura on that one. I think that it is a good idea to go and do. I don't think 150 recruits will see off the Russians. I think you might need a few more than that.
I think you might be right there.
The only thing I would say is that having had some personal family experience of recruiting for the armed forces, they are pretty useless at it. So they need to actually get their act together. The uniform side is great. They do really well. When it gets to the privatised bit where it's been outsourced, they're hopeless.
Yeah.
So I think that provided they can get that right, that's one thing that John Healey, the Defence Secretary, ought to be concentrating on.
Yeah, Peter, I've spoken about national service before, and the criticism I've had back from people rejecting that idea said, actually, our armed services shouldn't be wasting their time training up kids that don't want to be there. This should be reserved for the best of the best.
Well, my son's joining Sandhurst next year.
Is he really? Congratulations.
So, thank you. This is a subject very close to mine and my family's hearts, I think. Shock horror, universal agreement. I think it's a great idea. I think it should be rolled out far more widely and available to many more young people. Apart from the skills that they may or may not learn, it's the discipline. That getting up in the morning, that standing to attention, iron your trousers, clean your boots, do all of that. Those life skills that will stick with you forever and serve you so well are brilliant. I'm sure it's going to be massively oversubscribed.
Do you think we should have a national service as compulsory?
No, because I don't want to wish all of the bone idle, flaky, wokey ones who want to sit around on their sofas all day long in their urine-stained jogging bottoms. I don't want to wish them on our wonderful armed services.
Yeah.
We need to tackle those in a somewhat a different way. But yeah, I think this is a very, very good idea, and it will be massively oversubscribed.
Yeah, I think I'm coming round to that. I used to be pro-national service just for everybody, like a lot of countries do, but I think you're right, Peter. I've spoken to a lot of veterans and they say, actually, we wouldn't want that. We don't want to water down our great service with who are the creme de la creme of the world, some of these people, especially our Marines and our special services, our special forces are incredible. And why would we want to bring all these runts into...
And we don't have enough employment tribunals, right? OK? Because can you imagine all the flaky, wokey, bone-idle ones being told what to do by a 25-year regimental sergeant major?
Yeah, I can't see it.
Much as I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
No, don't wish that on the army.
Yeah, well, maybe that's it. Maybe we need to have like a different version. I don't know. We'll see anyway. Right, listen, there's another story here in The Observer today. Zelensky and Trump are going to meet in Florida in hopes for a peace deal. What do we make of this? I've heard this floating around so many times now, Lara. Do you think we're going to get across the line? And can you see there being peace between Ukraine and Russia in the coming months?
I mean, God, that's a very difficult question.
Yeah.
The cop-out answer is it depends on a number of factors.
Yeah.
Trump has pushed this forward more than anybody had up till this point. But the difficulty is he still can't meet Zelensky and Putin in one room. So you'll have him get one of them to a certain point, and then he'll need to get the other person there. And so far, there hasn't been progress on that. Putin is prepared to keep throwing soldiers at this issue. Ukraine is really struggling for troops at the moment. They're in dire trouble. This money they're getting from Europe isn't going to make a huge difference. It won't really help their effort. But I'm not sure that Ukraine are yet at the point of being prepared to give up the territories that they would need to. And I'm not sure Putin's at the point of making the concessions Zelensky wants. So next few months, I'd say no, but it's a difficult one.
Yeah, Nigel, major airstrikes on Ukraine over the last few days.
Kiev,
yeah, that's right. Always tragic to see. I've seen some of the footage of it. It doesn't feel like we're close to a peace deal, if you want my opinion. I have to say, I was very hopeful at the beginning of the year that we would get there, but it actually seems like we get sort of further and further away.
Yes, we do. I mean, well, I'm not so much further away. I just don't think that. Well, we don't know what's in Putin's mind. If Putin really wants peace, there is a chance we might get it. All the indications are on them.
Of course.
This is a deal, and making a deal between you that will suit Ukraine and suit Moscow is going to be really difficult.
Yeah, Trump's saying here in an interview with Politico published on Friday, Trump has said his Ukrainian counterpart doesn't have anything until I approve it. Interesting. And then he goes on to say, I think it's good to go with him. I think it's good to go with Putin, Trump has said. He also said that he's going to speak to the Russian president very soon, Peter. What do you think? What's your thoughts?
My theme for the evening has been pathetic politicians, no more so than with this story. If on the day that Putin marched into Ukraine, we'd got a piece of paper and a pen, stuck it under Zelensky's nose and gone, right, sign now, you're into NATO, we could have put together a coalition in double quick time that would have smashed Putin's troops all the way back to Moscow, or as far back as we wanted to push them, with their tails between their legs. But cowardly, pathetic British and European leaders bottled it. They wouldn't stand up to a bully like Putin. Quoting the pathetic excuse, he's got nukes. Putin wouldn't use his nukes. We've got more of a nuclear arsenal with our allies that would wipe Moscow into oblivion for thousands of years. Nobody had the balls. So we've got where we're at. Fast forward to today. Tragically, unfortunately, very unsavoury concessions are going to have to be made by Zelensky and by the Ukrainians to get some peace. I'd be more interested in what the Ukrainian people were saying. How do they feel about concessions if the price for that was peace. And believe you me, I am not an appeaser.
Yeah, there we have it. Well, listen, yeah, I think it's going to carry on, unfortunately. It's sad to say, because I hate seeing men die, young men who are the future generations of their country die in the millions at this point. It's very sad, isn't it? Anyway, look, coming up, this one for you at home, actually. I want to hear what you think. gbnews.com/you'll do you want to ban social media for kids? And would you report, get this is one for Peter, would you report someone for bad language and behaviour in the football stands? This is going to be a good one. I'll see you in just a tick.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 PM only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 PM till 6 PM, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 PM only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Well, what do you make of, I guess, what do you make of this proposed ban on people not being able to swear and use have bad behaviour in the football stands? Away fans on this, I think it was a Huddersfield game yesterday, apparently are banning season ticket holders for bad language, whilst also asking people to report who are committing these offences. Look at this, right? This is, I don't know if you guys can't see this on the panel here, but this is it's like a ticket, I think it is, right? It's like a ticket. And this is the sort of stuff Brits hate. Like, if I came back to my seat, someone reported me having a bit of a swear, you go to football and you swear. You do horrible gesticulations in the stands. Nigel, what do you think?
I thought it was mandatory.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is you use some responsibility about it. If you're near kids would be a good idea not to swear in front of them. Aside from that, it's part and parcel of football, along with the chanting and everything else.
Yeah,
and
it is.
without it, football seems to be a bit less, really.
Because it seems, Laura, that they're just trying to police everything now, isn't it? And it's those sort of snooper force, isn't it, we always refer to. It's like someone's watching you. And I get, look, there are some people who can drink too much and get very leery, and it does ruin parts of the game. But we also, you know, when you go to a football game to kind of expect it, really. And I just think, if you're going to football and you're complaining about bad behaviour, it's not tennis.
I mean, if you're of such a delicate nature that somebody swearing at the ref, you know, when there's a bad call is made, or getting upset when they miss a goal, is going to upset you, don't go to a football game.
Yeah.
I mean, just stay away. It's go to watch Wimbledon or something, watch ice dancing. Stay away from football, it'll upset you.
Well, the audience really want one man's opinion on this. Peter Blexley, what do you think?
Going to football today is a very, very different experience to what it was in the 1970s, the early 70s, when I started going regularly. And much of that is for the better. A lot of the fun has been hoovered out by it because of rules and regulations and all of that. But generally speaking, I speak collectively as football fans, are far, far better behaved than we ever have been. And that's great because it's more inclusive, and you see more women at football than you ever did, which is great. And I've taken all my 3 boys since they were able to walk to football. And I did teach them there are football words, OK? There's words you're going to hear in the football stadium that we don't use outside of the football stadium. But, yeah, it's always going to be a bit rough around the edges unless you go to Fulham, where they eat Victoria Sponge at half-time and they're all very posh and all that kind of game, or if you go to some of the other clubs. But, you know, football's football. It's wonderful, and I'll go there till I gasp my last. And for anybody sitting near me, if I let out the occasional expletive, well, I'm sorry, but, you know, it's
passionate, aren't you? You love your team.
Yeah.
People love their football teams. It's just how it always has been. Listen, I do, as I was saying, I understand there's some people who go beyond the pale, and actually people around them do get fed up with that. But it's sort of snoopers force when you write someone a ticket and you put it on their, like, you know, their seat like a car when it's like parking in football. It sounds awful.
Generally speaking, we police ourselves pretty well at football.
Yeah.
We really do.
I think fans are quite good at that as well. Right, Andrew here, GBNews member, said on this Sunday Mirror story, actually, he said, Alex, yes, banned 16s and below as their ability to mix with everyone else is inhibited their mental health and their innocence lost the moment they're given a mobile phone. This, of course, is referring to the Sunday Mirror's front page. Brits want to ban social media for kids. Laura, what do we think? Should we be banning social media for children?
This is a complex issue, and I think it's not getting the complexity it deserves.
Right.
Social media is definitely bad for children.
Yeah.
If I was a parent, I would not let my kids be on social media. I think it's causing all sorts of mental health problems. But if you want to have an Australian-style system where you ban children from social media, the only way of enforcing that is to require every single person with any sort of account, from putting in a credit card or a passport, and tying their legal identity to their Twitter account, to their Instagram. I'm not prepared to sacrifice that sort of freedom of speech, that sort of anonymity online, in order to protect kids. This is something that parents should be doing.
So you're saying it's under the guise of censorship almost itself. It's under the Orwellian guise, we're going to help kids, but you must give us your ID, your digital ID, essentially. Is that what you're saying, Laura?
I think that's the problem. We saw this with the Online Safety Act, OK? We started with the very well-intentioned, good-natured goal of preventing children from viewing online pornography. I completely agree with that. But what you had was, you know, tech-savvy kids went out and got a VPN. Meanwhile, people who didn't want to input their credit card onto Twitter weren't able to watch speeches about grooming gangs.
Right.
And I'm quite concerned you're going to have a similar consequence if you do this.
Yeah, I worry a lot about the Orwellianism as part of the online debate, because governments love to control this stuff, don't they? They really do. Nigel, 64% of Brits want a ban on social media for under 16s. I am generally, should I say, in favour of it. Yeah, generally in favour. I do agree with Laura. I'm concerned about the way the governments might enforce it, and I don't trust governments with my data, but maybe that's part and parcel of the way we live today.
Well, I mean, clearly there's a strong case for it, that overuse causes anxiety, depression, disturbed sleep, which means that they can't learn at school the following day. Social media can lead to cyberbullying and grooming, etc. However, kids also have a right to free expression, and I think that that's the balance that we have to actually take. Now, Australia has launched a ban for all under-16s from December the 10th. Too early to know how well it's doing, but let's see how the Australian experiment works and decide what is best for our kids once we have some hard evidence.
Yeah, that might be the way to do it. What do you think, Peter? Are we falling too... Are we wasting time by not banning kids from social media?
I can't believe I've agreed with Nigel twice this evening. I can't believe it.
What are they giving you tonight in the green
I'm in a
room?
state of shock. Yeah, I think some controls are there, but if kids could all jump on the VPNs, which I think is a fear in Australia, that is what they're going to do, then that might throw up a challenge. But I actually think that if you're going to have a social media account, you should prove to the social media platform who you are. Because the bots, the trolls, all those people, the spineless warriors, the anonymous clowns, I think a lot of that will be cleaned up. I think people's attitudes towards social media would be better. I think the social media engagement would be far more enjoyable if we knew exactly who it was instead of anonymous trolls.
That's really interesting. I hadn't really thought about it like that before because, you know, I mean, I get loads of abuse on social media. I also get lovely people who you at home who message me, which I always very endearing. But there is a lot of online anonymous trolls, and I wonder. I mean, you can't hide when you say things face to face with people, can you? Unless you put a face mask on or something. Do you think we should make everyone be verified to be able to say what they say on the internet?
No, I completely disagree. Britain has had a proud tradition of anonymous pamphlet writing, of anonymous publication for 500, 600 years. Percy Shelley was writing anonymous pamphlets when he was at Oxford, and we can't take that away because of the online trolls. I know it's very... We've all probably had horrible comments on Twitter, but to take away the ability of whistleblowers to post about things happening in their countries, of people to write without being attached to their own names, in a time of enormous censorship with what happened to Lucy Connolly, is, I think, uncountenanceable.
You can still write pamphlets anonymously, leave them on the bus, leave them on the train, hand them out, do whatever you like. You can still do that. I just think to have a social media account is not an automatic right. It should come with some responsibilities, and the responsibility should be that that platform knows who you are.
OK. Very briefly from you, Nigel.
I agree with that. But I think that we ought to know who is actually tweeting. If people want to be abusive, which they have a right to be, if they want to be abusive, they ought to actually identify themselves.
Within the law, you can be abusive within the law. I get abused regularly, but within the law.
The law is quite narrow.
Right, well, there we go. I have to leave it there, unfortunately. I just want to do a recap of your front pages before we go. The Sunday Express. Kemi Badenoch says Rachel Reeves is only in her job to protect Sir Keir Starmer. The Mail on Sunday, Prince William is facing angry backlash over security zone around his new home. The Sun on Sunday, Tourville and Dean made Damon knight. Sunday People, the SAS fears for UK security. The Sunday Times, PM new aid campaign for paedophile but made him peer. The Telegraph, big story here, Starmer welcomes extremists to Britain. Right, that's all we've got time for, everybody. I'm going to be back tomorrow night as usual. Hopefully I'll have another big story for you. But, of course, that is the end of the show, and I will see you all very, very shortly.
We want to make the new year your best year yet, with a chance to win our greatest cash prize to date. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Treat the family to that bucket list holiday you've always fancied. Get your dream car you've always wanted. Or just relax, safe in the knowledge that the coming year is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no,